Thanks for tuning back in. I'm Tommy Campbell, still bald, still in my basement, and I'll be getting into Donald Trump and Elon Musk joining Sean Hannity for the kind of three-way you get if the lamp's broken and the genie hates you. It was recently revealed that Elon Musk allegedly fathered his 13th child. The same guy that was spreading misinformation about condoms in Gaza doesn't seem to be able to get one on. Maybe they don't make them small enough. Check in the first aid kit, Elon. A finger caught could save you some cash down the road. Kid number 3 was with MAGA influencer Ashley St. Clair. And on the surface, I mean, she's pretty hot, like Guilfoyle without going full Guilfoyle. What was she doing with Elon? Oh yeah, he's the world's richest man. I don't think Elon, the Walmart greeter, would have a shot with a calendar girl, but he's got another kid that could be talking when Trump's still in office, so that's one more baby to tell him to shush.
All right, joining us now, the host of the upcoming hit show, My View with Laura Trump. And by the way, take that to the bank. It will be a hit show. I might even be a guest one day if she ever invites me. It starts this Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Fox News channel.
Did he say it? Sounds like he did. You know, Eric's the one relegated to the golden turd tongue, so it kind of makes sense this sort of thing is on Sean's mind because even he knows Laura is a total joke, and giving her a show on Fox even further destroys the network's credibility, if they even have any. I mean, it just means his drops as well. It's not going to make it easier to pose as a journalist when Eric's Skeletor stunt double that crashes Mar-a-Lago with her makeup lab explosion Survivor karaoke performances now gets to sit at the same desk.
Look, Social Security won't be touched. Other than if there's fraud or something, we're going to find it's going to be strengthened, but won't be touched. Medicare, Medicaid, none of that stuff is going to be touched.
Nothing.
You don't have to. Now, if there are illegal migrants in the system, we're going to get them out of the system and all of that fraud, but it's not going to be touched. School. I want to bring school back to the states so that Iowa, Indiana, all these places, Idaho, New Hampshire, there's so many places, the states, I figure 35 really run well.
Other than fraud and what Trump considers to be fraud will be at his discretion. Remember, he thought he won the last election and wished Ghislaine Maxwell well. He doesn't exactly have the best judgment. Also, when he's listing states there, it's like he's in a pub quiz and had to name a few starting with I.
I wanted to find somebody smarter than him. I searched all over. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
You really tried hard.
I couldn't find anyone smarter, right? So we had it for the country.
But this is the thing.
We settled on this guy.
Well, thanks for having me.
So,
I'm just trying to be useful.
this is the interesting.
No, J.D. Vance wishes he could jump off the couch and just yell at the TV, but it's crustier than Mike Johnson's secret gym sock, so the only way he's detaching from the cushion is if Usha rescues him with a chisel. But she's not going to give J.P. Mendel a hand after he gave the big okay to the normalized Indian hate employee. It has to be so weird to be on the sidelines watching these two make the rounds. I bet even at the White House, J.D. Vance has to let people know who he is, and he still gets that donut shop reaction. And again, one more time, because it's epic.
Do you view Vice President J.D. Vance as your successor, the Republican nominee in 2028?
No, but he's very capable. I mean, I don't think that I think you have a lot of very capable people. So far, I think he's doing a fantastic job. It's too early. We're just starting.
But by the time you get to the midterms, he's going to be looking for an endorsement.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that this has been the greatest opening, almost 3 weeks.
Wow, you're supposed to have someone at your side that can take over at any moment, and Trump is throwing J.D. Vance under the bus, and it hasn't even been a month. He never chose someone that could do the job. He chose someone that would do his bidding. Subscribe.
Yeah. And inflation is back. I'm only here for 2.5 weeks.
That was January.
Inflation is back. No, think of it. Inflation's back, and they said, "Oh, Trump inflation." I had nothing to do with it. These people have run the country. They spent money like nobody's ever spent. They were.
He said it again. So much winning. Inflation is back. Here, let me fix more of that junk you sell. He stood in front of a spread of grocery items claiming they'd be cheaper. He'd end inflation. Not happening. In fact, with the impending tariffs, it's about to get a lot worse. Mexico is the largest supplier of fruit and vegetables to the United States, while Canada leads in exports of grain, livestock, meats and poultry, and potash. When grain and fertilizer go up, everything goes up. But he also said he'd end the war in Ukraine on day one, and well.
And I think it's going very well. But today I heard, oh, well, we weren't invited. Well, you've been there for 3 years. You should have ended it 3 years. You should have never started it. You could have made a deal. I could have made a deal for Ukraine that would have given them almost all of the land, everything, almost all of the land, and no people would have been killed, and no city would have been demolished, and not one dome would have been knocked down. But they chose not to do it that way. And President Biden, in all fairness, he doesn't have a clue. What he was so bad for.
I'm sorry, what? Ukraine started it? Were they behind 9/11 too? This is just insane.
What all we're really trying to do here is restore the will of the people through the president. And what we're finding is that there's an unelected bureaucracy. Speaking of unelected, there's a vast federal bureaucracy that is implacably opposed to the president and the cabinet. And you look at, say, D.C. voting, it's 92% Kamala. Okay, so we're 92% Kamala. That's a lot.
They don't like me here either.
I think about that number a lot. I'm like 92%. That's basically almost everyone.
Yeah.
And so, how can you, if the will of the president is not implemented, and the president is representative of the people, that means the will of the people is not being implemented. And that means we don't live in a democracy, we live in a bureaucracy. And so I think what we're
Trump said he wanted to be a dictator. I mean, it is really wild to see the unelected bureaucrat billionaire trying to point fingers. When it's like, it's just clear he's working it out. He doesn't know how government actually works. He's just like learning the video game while he's playing it. But he did recently say some of the things that I say will be incorrect. Nobody's going to bat 1,000. So, he'll just draw that card often. In fact, next time Trump releases NFTs, here's your card, Elon. Can Doge investigate doing laps in Air Force One and the Beast? This isn't exactly efficient. It's not exactly work. It's definitely not cheap. The last time Trump did an interview with a rich guy trying to help him out, it was opposite MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell in a Mar-a-Lago one-on-one with the production budget of a VHS hostage video. Yes, Trump squeezed every buck out of Lindell. His hotels never use his pillows, and Lindell's so far gone that even his dumpster fire show, The Lindell Report, now leads to a 404 not found at what he famously called the biggest broadcast place ever.
You're committed to getting to Mars. You're committed to rescue. You're going to help rescue next month 2 astronauts that I think were abandoned. They dispute that in an interview.
At the president's request or instruction, we are accelerating the return of the astronauts, which was postponed kind of to a ridiculous degree.
They got left in space.
They've been there. They were supposed to be there 8 days. They're there almost 300.
Biden.
They were yes, they were left up there for political reasons, which is not good.
Okay, it's not good. Now,
this is totally false. Williams and Wilmore aren't stranded on the International Space Station, and they weren't abandoned. And they clarified this in a recent interview.
I don't want to get into politics at all, but I know you've been asked this question before. There's some who've suggested here, President Trump, that you were virtually abandoned by the last administration. Again, I know you've been asked this question before, but do you feel you've been abandoned?
We don't feel abandoned. We don't feel stuck. We don't feel stranded. I understand why others may think that. We come prepared. We come committed. That is what your human spaceflight program is. It prepares for any and all contingencies that we can conceive of, and we prepare for those. So if you'll help us change the rhetoric, help us change the narrative, and let's change it to prepared and committed, vice what you've been hearing. That's what we prefer.
Prepared and committed. Change the rhetoric. Check out Lauren Boebert posing with this statue of Trump. Or is that actually Trump? I mean, the shade of skin is so close to the real thing. I love that the sculptor chose to put the MAGA hat over his crotch so he didn't have the pressure to exaggerate Trump's tiny mushroom or worry about creating accurate diaper seams. But part of me wishes it was accessible, like we could see it, and that it had like a store dye tag sort of thing going on it. So when the Boeberts, MTGs, and Nancy Maces of the world went to grope it, they'd have the mark of the sleaze for a while. You got a little Trump statue on your face? Yeah. Gonna be there for a week, sweetheart. It takes a lot to make an independent show, and I couldn't do it without you. It's been reported that Elon didn't want to be on Ashley St. Clair's son's birth certificate and was paying Ashley a very large sum of money, an apartment, and security to lay low during her pregnancy. And some of her old tweets are surfacing. Like this beauty. Regardless of your stance on abortion, it is a net positive that women stay away from men who want to use them for sex and have zero interest in becoming fathers. And committed. Change the rhetoric. Trump said he wanted to be a dictator. This is nuts. I mean, it's wild to see this unelected bureaucrat, meow. They're eating the cats and dogs. And I'll be getting into Donald Trump and Elon Musk joining Sean Hannity for the kind of three-way you get if the lamp's broken and the genie hates you. It's pretty accurate. Doesn't seem to be able to get one on. Maybe they don't make them small enough. Check in the first aid kit, Elon. A finger caught could save you some cash down the road. You know the ones I'm talking about. I worked in restaurants, okay? Sculptor chose to put the MAGA hat over his crotch so he didn't have to exaggerate Trump's tiny mushroom. Sorry. Stormy said it.
I can confirm the Tommy Campbell Show is the best political comedy show on YouTube. And I hope you subscribe.